Here we go.
Hey yo, what it do? It's your boy J. Lou, and you guys are just in time for something new. Now in this video, what I want to talk about is kind of continuing what I mentioned in my previous video about why 720 waves are hard, but I want to go in a little bit more detail about how do you shift when you have 720 waves and the reason why it's even harder to shift with 720 waves. Now with this video, I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get straight into the video. Alright, so I just unrag, and typically what I do is try to let my hair decompress for about 5 to 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? That's like a secret thing within the wave game. You don't want to brush your waves immediately unless you are using a soft brush. But today I'm going to be using the Royalty. This is the 750. I did a review on this brush. I'll make sure I leave it posted over here and everything like that. I believe Brush King's site is going to be online sometime in September. I believe it may be September 5th or 6th, but don't hold me to that date. But this brush may make a return, you know? So that's the reason why I'm plugging this brush. Alright, so just taking a look at my waves. As y'all can see on my left side, I've been shifting the left side from just going straight forward like this to kind of slanting up like that. And the main reason why I've been doing that is because when you look at my overall pattern, the focus with 720s is always on your crown. Now, when you start off, you always want to start off brushing your crown. So to break that down a little bit further, if I'm brushing this side of my crown like this, I want to keep that angle to flow to my right side, right? But then normally I brush my crown like this. I've learned that this is the only way I can hook my left side is by brushing like this, right? So this is how I normally brush my crown to tighten it up on the left side. But then when I go further out, I have to keep that in mind. So while I'm brushing like this, and the further out I go, based off of the contour of my head, like I told you guys last time, once I get over this little round part, then my angle tends to flatten out. So I'll start off going around it at the top, but then right here, that's when I brush slightly forward and up. So that's how I'm shifting my left side. Now when it comes to 720s and shifting, the easiest side that I can shift is my left side. The main reason why is because whenever I'm brushing my waves will end on this hairline right here. But for the rest of my pattern, like I've mentioned before, once I get over this little area of my head where it rounds off and I start rounding my angle, my waves are gonna be in a continuous flow all the way around my head. So it flows up to the top like this, goes down to the right side, but then it continues to go down to the back, all the way around, and then my waves come out this way. Alright, so just to go down a little bit more detail, what makes shifting with 720 so hard is if you have like a right side like mine, my right side is dang near to the point to where it's probably my best side on my pattern, you know what I'm saying? But if I need to shift the top of my pattern, as you guys can see, I've been shifting this whole area. Once I start brushing the correct angles and I start moving to the right side, now with forks you typically have to push them out, you know what I'm saying? That's the typical conventional way of getting rid of forks. If you think about it, if you have a fork that's right here and you're brushing this way, you're gonna have to push that fork all the way out your pattern all along this way right here. So if you have a right side and you have 2 or 3 forks right here, you're trying to push them all the way out of your pattern, it's gonna take a way longer time to push them out your pattern simply because it has to travel across way more waves because your flow is going like this. So for me, what I've learned how to do is I don't focus on just simply pushing the forks out. One thing I've been experimenting with is this thing called the merging method. I'm gonna reveal that a little bit more in the future, but I'm gonna focus on just pushing out. So one thing I knew is because the left side of my crown was messed up, once I start fixing it, that ugliness and that shift is gonna transfer all to this area. So keep this in mind, when you're trying to get a 720 crown, it takes precision, you know what I'm saying? Now going into the different angles of when it comes to shifting. Now for me, when I first started messing my left side of my head up, it was because I was brushing the left side the same way I brush everything else. So from the top, I can brush with my right hand and basically flow around my crown like this, right? But I messed up because I thought I could do the same thing with my left hand and just tap around my pattern. But a pro waving tip is sometimes when you brush with different hands, it throws your angles off. You may be thinking that you're brushing the same angle, but when you use a different hand, it really throws it off. So that's what happened to my left side. I thought I was brushing the same way, like tapping my pattern like how I did with my right side, but I really wasn't. I was brushing these waves more to the front and this way. So that's why you can probably see these waves were overshooting my crown, and now my whole goal and focus has been to try to shift these waves to go back into my crown. And the way I learned it is understanding that that angle on my left side had to be hooked like this. Because if I don't hook it like that, like I said, my waves are gonna overshoot and just keep going this way. And then it's gonna clash with this whole area. Now, the reason why I have to hook this left side over here is because my left side is not as vertical as I probably would want it, you know? So that is one of the main reasons why I have to hook it, because I'm trying to drag out the flow of this side of my hair, if that makes sense. So by dragging it out and making sure that the connections line up and everything like that, I have to go around and hook it like that. Now when it comes to this side, I can have a little bit more straighter angles, concise angles and things like that, just to tighten up this area. But once you get to the portion of your hair where it swoops around very, very drastically, as you all can see, this side of my hair swoops down a lot faster than the left side. So once I get to this side, I have to have a lot more shorter angles to be able to make the right side of my crown tighter. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so a lot of you guys may be watching this video, may be thinking, alright, I kind of knew some of that stuff. You broke it down a little bit more, but what do people mean when they say you have to change your angle? Now, when it comes to angle changes can be slightly, or sometimes they may have to be drastic. And I'll show you guys right quick. All right, so because I've been trying to shift my left side, I knew that I would have to shift my top. Previously, my top was slanted a little bit more over this way, but in order for me to make that angle change, I had to recognize, is this gonna be a slight angle change or is this gonna be a drastic angle change? If I wanted to get my waves to hook back into my crown, I would have to make a drastic angle change right here. You know, so what that boils down to is, for me brushing right here, I have to pull the hair back. That's what I mean by a drastic angle change. It's like instead of brushing in the flow, you're exaggerating the angle that you would probably normally have to brush, just to pull that hair a lot more to help with your shift. With slight angle changes, what they do is they help you keep your connections while shifting your pattern. But if you want to get to the goal line a lot faster, drastic angle changes is what really will help you get there. They will make your waves look ugly, you will gain forks, but at the end of the day, it won't take you as long to get to your destination by making a drastic angle change. So when people say my waves are ugly and my waves don't compare to other people, it makes sense because I've been going through this shift of making drastic angle changes, such as this top portion right here. Now, normally I would probably just want to brush the top right here. That's a slight angle change. But because I want the flow of everything else to go, what I'll do is I'll just hook it a lot more. That's a drastic angle change. Now, when you have a side that doesn't have as many forks and you're just trying to get them to line up, that's when you want to make slight angle changes. So to break that down even more is on my right side, as you guys can see, the flow of my waves are like this. But if they kept going like that, then it would not flow with the back portion of my waves. So when I start brushing, I brush down like this just to keep in the flow of my waves, right? But once I get down to the bottom, what I'm doing is making a slight angle change so that I can keep that flow maintained, as well as help build up better connections right there. That's a slight angle change. So I start off right here at the top just to make sure all of these waves flow along the shape of my head. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I like the fact that my wave starts at the corner of my temple. To me, that just looks dope. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to maintain that. But once I go down below, I want my waves to line up, but I want them to line up in a slower fashion. You know, I don't really care about how long it's gonna take me to line up the right side. So I'm gonna make a slight angle change and slight adjustments along the way. Now, you will know if you need to make slight angle changes if you keep brushing your waves and the forks that you have never go away. Because for me, I realized that on this side, the reason why I have forks is because I kept brushing a certain way all the way through and it wasn't changing on my pattern. So what I started doing was making slight angle changes and I start seeing way more results. No matter if you make slight angle changes or drastic angle changes, you need to make sure you study your waves. That's the reason why you need to use a mirror when you brush, and at the same time, you don't have to brush very fast when you brush your pattern. Shifting takes way longer than scalping and trying to get your waves back. But when you have 720s, you will always have to shift just because your pattern is in a continuous flow all around your head. You may have one side, like my left side, it doesn't flow all the way through, but that's the reason why it makes 720s so difficult to shift. Now, with this information, you can still apply this information to 360s, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier with 360s because all of your waves will flow out to your hairline. So you don't have to worry about pushing one fork out all the way through your pattern. But I will have a video coming in the future just to explain a little bit more about this merging method that I hinted towards. It's gonna be simple, it's not gonna be complicated. Once I reveal it, you guys are gonna be like, man, that makes so much sense. I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier. But it's your boy J. Lou. I appreciate you guys for taking the time out your day to watch this video. Once again, we appreciate all the present support just for Hurricane Harvey. But I hope you guys have a great week. Salute.